What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Dr. LInny, and I'm glad to have you back on my channel. And if you're new to the channel, you're very welcome. So I asked on my Instagram page what topics you guys would like me to cover, and I got a lot of interesting topics which we'll look at as time goes on. But mental health was one that just kept popping up a lot, and I am definitely full on in support of mental health and being right with oneself. So I thought, why not actually make a video about it? So this week we're going to be talking about mental health. Stay tuned for more. I personally believe that mental health is such a big movement now because we are seeing the increase in rates of suicides due to depression, and people being like, oh, but he didn't look depressed, it was the happiest person I knew, or oh, he has everything, why was he depressed, and people are accepting the fact that people are going through their own struggles internally and might not necessarily put it out there for others to see. So we are more people are now encouraging people to find their inner peace and to be happier and to be content with themselves and try not to please others at the detriment of themselves. Okay, but I believe that mental health constitutes of your emotional, your physical, and your spiritual well-being. Okay, you might sometimes people are picked on because of how they look physically, and that is what causes the emotional distress, and then spiritually they get disconnected. Others might be spiritually disconnected, feel like they're not where they're supposed to be with God and all that, think about it, overthink it, become depressed, and then physically withdraw from everyone, and then emotionally, the depression part. Some people might be going through a heartbreak, a loss of some sort, and then end up being emotionally detached, and then spiritually they feel they've let themselves down, they've let God down, blah blah blah. They're also detached, and then physically they pull away from everyone. So I see mental health as all three of these things playing a major role in it. So as I said earlier, we're going to be talking about mental health, but people wanted to know mental health in association with being in the medical field. Okay, one thing I've realized is that most physicians do not go to a therapist. Like, those in the medical field are the worst patients you can have. You don't see physicians often going to a psychologist or a therapist to just like offload off of work and all the deaths and situations that happen in the hospital. I, for one, I've had to sort of find a coping mechanism on how to deal with the deaths in the hospital. Okay, I remember when I was in pediatrics, and I got really attached to this preemie, and the preemie was at the NICU for about a month solid, and I was so attached that I was always by this preemie running the labs, trying to see the progress, and like you'll make some improvements and then you'll go back down, and it was just like my mind just kept going like and we did our absolute best, okay, but sadly we lost this baby, okay, and we had to break the news to the parents, and this is something that stuck with me. You guys, I think I cried more than the parents. And it was so funny because they were now consoling me, and they knew I had been with the preemie throughout. Like, I just lost it, and I couldn't even try to make peace with myself, trying to give myself the reasons why this should have happened, because in my mind we did everything we could do, so why did we have to lose this baby? And I became so depressed. Sometimes you can't help these things. They just come in because you throw yourself so much into the work you're doing, and you're giving it your best. The first way to start protecting your mental health is to stop being a yes man or woman. You can't say yes to everything. You can't do everything. You can't be everywhere. We live in a society where it seems when you say a lot of yeses and everybody's happy with you and everybody's pleased with you, then you're doing the right thing. But most of the time you're giving yourself to all these people and you are breaking down within because you can hardly hold on, you can hardly juggle everything. But you're trying to please everyone. So you say yes to this, yes to that. What person? How are you going to split yourself into all these places? Like I was saying, you're one human being. How are you going to split yourself up and be at all these places you said yes to? How are you going to sit there and be the shoulder for everybody whilst you're breaking down inside and you turn not to share yours either? Like how? You have to get to a place where you think, can I handle this? Yes, no. When I say no, which is the truth because I really can't, is the person going to be okay with it? Yes or no? You shouldn't care whether the person is going to be okay with it or no, because you should be at your 100% to be able to give 100% to someone. You can't be giving 100% of your 75% self. You have to recharge. You have to be true to yourself, and you have to take responsibility for your decisions, okay? You shouldn't say yes to things that are going to make you unhappy, things that you're going to be complaining about whilst you're doing it, just but because like you don't complain to that person, but you complain about it to yourself because you know you shouldn't really be doing this because you can't, but you push yourself to do it. You break down afterwards and you see the other person's smile and you get pissed at yourself. That shouldn't be the case. So one way is to learn to say no. I used to feel like I had to say yes to everything. I had to be at every meeting. I had to be everywhere. But the time and the schedule I'm on doesn't allow me to do that. And I used to feel so bad and ask myself, like, because someone actually told me that since I started working, I have sort of like forgotten about God and all that because I don't come to church as often. Meanwhile, I do not make the schedule. I am given the schedule and when to come into work. I have no control over this. And it used to really upset me because it would be so long and you wouldn't have time to be in church and everything. But I have tried to personally keep my relationship with God. And so I've learned to just be happy in that, because God is not a church building and he's not only going to be at the church building. Yes, it's good to fellowship when you can, but I had to learn to stop feeling guilty about things that I do not control and things I have no control over. I can't make it. It is not my fault. Okay, I can't be at every meeting. I can't be at every outing. I can't be at every dinner, every lunch. I can't do that because I do not have the time to do that. And most of the time when I get any time, believe you me, I want to sleep because I'm tired. Almost all the time I get off, I will just be sleeping because your girl is tired, and that is the honest truth. And I used to just previously say yes to everything and try to squeeze everything and make everything work. But I was emotionally drained, I was physically drained, I was spiritually drained. I realized I was giving less of myself to more people, and every day I lost a bit more of myself and I became more angry and like more pissed at people for no reason. Two, you have to learn when to pull away. You can't be the life of the party all the time. If you're around someone that isn't making you happy, if you're around someone that you always feel drained emotionally, spiritually, physically when you're around the person, detach yourself. You don't have to be everybody's friend. You don't. Sincerely speaking, you don't. And as I said, people feel better when they feel like they fit into the society, they fit into the circle. But if you're in that circle and you're emotionally drained all the time, you're in that circle and you feel depressed all the time, there's anxiety, your heart races when you guys are meeting up, and that you do not have peace in that cycle. Take yourself out of that cycle. Protect yourself. Like, why would you put yourself in a situation that can be avoided just because you want to feel like you belong, but in actual fact you do not? Because if you belong somewhere, you should feel at peace at where you are. But if you're going there and there's anxiety and you're losing sleep over what you're going to say, how do I talk? If I talk this way, if they see my true nature, they're going to talk about this. Then please move yourself, move. Find somewhere else, anywhere else but that place. Because it takes a lot to actually be able to give yourself out. Like when I go to work, I give myself 100% to my patients. And by the time you're leaving, it's like a battery. You're recharged to go to work, and then you come home on like 0. And then when you come home on 0, you have to recharge. Now imagine your phone is on 0 and you're trying to recharge it, but not at a power source. Like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So I try to be around people that when I leave their presence, I feel refreshed, I feel strengthened, I feel whole, or at least a bit better than being around people that I feel drained and I feel like I have to watch the words that I speak or have to be calculated. That is not a good environment for me. That doesn't help me. So I take myself out of that situation. Now, how have I dealt in protecting my mental health in the health profession? I have learned that it's okay to cry, and I'm not even going to like hide it. Usually health workers end up blaming themselves, especially if you're really new to it and you're really trying to do your best and go hard at it and everything. But I have learned that it's okay to cry. When I lose a patient, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad about it. It's okay to grieve. You are not a robot. And yes, health workers see a lot of death, so at a point you become desensitized to it. But there's always 1 or 2 that's gonna hit you in the head and you're gonna be like, oh, what happened? You know? And I've learned that it's okay to cry, and it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to let someone help you with your emotions, to spill it out, to confide in someone, preferably also in the same field as you, so that they can understand better. Because obviously if I go stand and my friend who's an accountant space, I'm like, oh, I saw I did it, they're going, it's not going to be the same as talking to another health professional and they giving you certain facts and walking you through the process and what happened, to reassure you that you actually did everything right and that it wasn't your fault. So I have learned to cope in the medical field by being open, sharing it with my friends, my husband, and crying when I need to. Yeah, basically. I have to let those emotions out. I do not hold them, hide them, and pretend they are not there. I let it out and I move on. Okay. Another thing is I spent time with myself a lot. If you've watched my previous video about self-love, you would realize that mental health is really linked to self-love. Find time for yourself, date yourself, love on yourself, read a good book, lie on the couch, drink some tea, watch a movie. Like literally do anything that is going to bring you inner peace, boost your confidence, and make you feel rejuvenated. Most people do not share their thoughts and their thought processes and what they're actually going through. Some people would love to do that. Others would think that when they spend time with themselves, they get better at organizing their thoughts and making things sort of like pan out the way they want to. And I'm like, why not? There's no one size fits all when it comes to mental health. Anything that makes you feel better, anything that makes you feel recharged, you should go ahead and do it. Like I said earlier, I feel like spiritually and emotionally and physically, these 3 components come together to make mental health. So if, from my perspective as a Christian, my Bible helps me, worship songs help me, praying helps me, and spending time alone, meditating, listening to songs, just worshiping boosts me, recharges me, and then I go from there. Emotionally, like I said, I move away from anyone that I feel is just going to drain me and is not going to add value to my life. And physically, I try to stay in shape a lot. Like, I try and exercise. I eat a lot of junk, especially donuts, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time I try to eat healthy on other days. It's all like a balance, trying to strike that balance. Okay, so I hope you actually learned something from my video. I really wanted to keep it short and to talk about how I see mental health and how I process it. I'm hoping that it helps you in some way. So if you enjoyed the video, let me know. Leave comments on how you take care of your mental health and what helps you and what you've learned in your journey trying to find peace and trying to attain a good mental health in your situations. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share for more videos. If you have any more topics you'd want me to cover, like I said, please leave them in the comment section below, or on my Instagram page you can DM me. Yeah, so stay safe, you guys. Until next time, bye.